You still serving burgers in that cheap apron, Ava? Or have you finally learned to beg with a smile? Those were the exact words my sister Brianna said, into the microphone, in front of over 100 guests at her company's anniversary party. People laughed. I didn't. I stood there, holding a glass of water, feeling 100 eyes dig into my skin like pins. She smirked like she just delivered the punchline of the year. But she had no idea. This was her moment of regret in slow motion. Before we continue, if this moment made you clench your fists even a little, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs a little revenge-fueled inspiration today. Now back to the chaos. Brianna always had this habit, bullying and designer heels. Ever since high school, she believed she was born for champagne, while I was made to mop floors. She worked at a luxury branding agency, and tonight's event was her golden ticket to shine. Everyone was there, investors, media, even the CEO of one of the biggest firms in the country. And then, there was me, in a simple black dress, quietly standing in the corner. I didn't want to be seen. Not yet. I had my reasons. Brianna spotted me from across the room. Her eyes narrowed, her voice climbed higher. Oh my God, everyone, look who just walked in. My little sister Ava. She used to wait tables at Dirty Joe's. Can you believe she once spilled red wine on a judge? Laughter again. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, but I didn't flinch. Because this wasn't the first time. She'd mocked me for years. For not going to college, for working double shifts, for living in a one-bedroom apartment. She never asked where I vanished for 3 years. Never cared why I stopped showing up at family dinners. She just assumed I gave up. But I didn't give up. I was building something she couldn't see. She walked over with a champagne glass, tapped mine gently, and whispered, Don't worry, Ava. Maybe one day I'll hire you. We could always use a waitress for these events. I just smiled, because her boss was walking toward us, and he wasn't looking at her. He was staring at me, with respect in his eyes. She didn't even let me respond. She laughed, raised her glass, and told the entire table, Ava used to serve fries at diners. Isn't that adorable? From ketchup, stains to cocktails. Cheers to her glow-up. People chuckled politely, but I could feel their eyes scanning me, judging me, labeling me. My hands clenched under the table, but my face didn't show it. I smiled gently, and just nodded like it didn't sting. But inside, something twisted. Just across from me, her boss, Mr. Holloway, watched the scene unfold without saying a word. He sipped his wine, then leaned over and asked me, So, Ava, how's the expansion in Singapore going? The entire table fell silent. My sister froze mid-laugh, her smirk slipping just slightly. I tilted my head and replied, It's been smooth. We just closed on our second building. Next week I'll be flying to Tokyo to sign with one of our new clients. Her boss chuckled and added, Ava runs the entire operation. She's the one who negotiated our last billion-dollar merger. Without her, the company wouldn't have survived the last quarter. My sister's face drained of color. She blinked, her jaw twitching as she tried to keep smiling. Wait, what do you mean she runs the operation? Mr. Holloway looked confused. You didn't know? Ava's the CEO of Havencore International. She's your company's highest partner. Then he turned to me with a small smile. You never mentioned she was your sister. I took a slow sip of my drink and said, She doesn't usually mention me either, unless she needs to laugh at someone. Her boyfriend, who had stayed quiet all evening, finally spoke up. Wait. You're Ava Collings, the tech investor? The same one who made Forbes under 30? My sister looked like she had just swallowed, and then came the final blow. Mr. Holloway added, You know, Ava, we've been thinking of moving our entire AI development team under your leadership. I leaned forward and gently smiled at my sister, whose face was now stiff and pale. You called me a poor waitress, but now your entire job depends on me. The silence at the table felt like a scream no one dared to finish. My sister's eyes darted around, desperate to find someone to break the tension, to laugh it off, to defend her. But no one did. Even her boyfriend leaned back, staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. She finally managed to choke out a nervous laugh. Wait, so this is a joke, right? Ava, are you seriously the CEO? I didn't blink. You know the office on Fifth Avenue? The one you pass every morning on your way to work? She nodded slowly. I own that building. And 5 others on that block. The weight of the truth dropped like a hammer on the table. My sister's breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her glass but missed, and knocked it over. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth. And for the first time all evening, she was the one everyone stared at. You always treated me like I was the embarrassing one, I said quietly. But while you were busy trying to look important, I was building something real. Her boss stepped in again, calm but serious. I'll be honest with you, Clara. If I'd known Ava was your sister, we'd have reconsidered your attitude a long time ago. We don't tolerate disrespect, not even at this level. Her jaw dropped. Are you saying I could lose my job over this? No, I said gently. You could lose it because you're replaceable. You said it yourself. Waitresses come and go, right? So do bad managers. Everyone was dead silent. Her boyfriend, looking uncomfortable now, stood up and muttered, I think I'm going to head out. I'll call you, Clara. She looked up at him in panic. Wait, babe? You're leaving me here? He avoided her eyes. I think I need time to think. She sat back down, stunned, humiliated, and speechless. And I didn't have to say another word. She didn't show up to work the next day, or the day after that. By the 3rd morning, my assistant walked into my office with a stiff face and said, Clara just sent in her resignation. No explanation. Just, I can't face her. I didn't smile. I didn't feel victorious. Just free. For years, I had lived in the shadow of my sister's sharp tongue and smug expressions. Every holiday, every family dinner, every party, she made sure I was reminded of my place, the poor little sister who serves tables. She had no idea that those long hours at the diner weren't just for tips. They were funding my tech startup. The same one now valued at over $40 million. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about never needing her approval again. A few weeks later, I was invited to speak at a Women in Business conference. I walked on stage to a standing ovation. Cameras flashed. People took notes. In the crowd, I spotted a familiar face in the back, quiet, almost hiding behind a pillar. Clara. She looked smaller, not in size, but in presence. After the event, she waited near the exit, eyes red, clutching, her purse like it was her last anchor to dignity. Ava, she whispered. Can we talk? I paused. About what? She bit her lip. I didn't know. I thought you were just wasting your life. I didn't think you had it in you. I gave her a calm look. That's the problem. You never thought I had anything in me. She swallowed hard. I was jealous, okay? You were always kind, even when you had less. And I hated that. For a second, I saw the sister I grew up with. Not the bully, not the show-off. Just a girl who lost her way. I don't hate you, Clara, I said. But I don't need your apology. I needed respect, and now I don't need even that. I turned around and walked to my car. As the door closed behind me, I saw her reflection in the glass, still standing there, still watching me leave. This time, Not as a waitress, but as a woman who had nothing to prove and everything to protect. 2 months passed. I didn't hear from Clara again. Not a message, not a call, not even a whisper through the family grapevine. And honestly, I was okay with that. Life moved fast. My company launched a new product line, and it exploded overnight. Investors lined up. Interviews poured in. Suddenly, I wasn't just the quiet one. I was everywhere. Then, one quiet Sunday morning, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten letter. It was from Clara. Her handwriting was shaky, like she had rewritten the words over and over. Ava, you probably don't want to hear from me, but I needed to say this. Not for forgiveness, but because I owe it. To the sister I betrayed, I built a life out of pretending I was better than you. I needed someone to feel above, because deep down, I always felt small. I mocked your job, your dreams, even your kindness, because it reminded me of everything I lost in myself. I lost my job. My friends drifted. My pride collapsed. But maybe that's what I needed. You didn't just build a company, Ava. You built a life worth admiring. I'm not asking to be part of it. Just don't let people like me dim your light again. Clara. I stared at the letter for a long time. Not with anger, not with pity, but with peace. Because that was the closure I never asked for, but maybe always needed. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and walked outside into the morning sun. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. I had already won. Not because I was richer, not because I was famous, but because I never let someone else's cruelty kill my fire. I stayed kind. I stayed silent. But I never stayed small. If this story hit your heart, drop a "I won" silently in the comments and share this with someone who needs to be reminded of their power. Subscribe for more powerful stories that'll make you believe in yourself again.